I'm Paul A. Thomas, Jr. I graduated from high school in June of 1941. Persuaded my parents, who both were college graduates, to let me stay out of school for a year. My birthday is December 6. December 7, 41, the day after my birthday, was Pearl Harbor. That's the year I was working. I went to Penn State in the fall of 42, signed up in the enlisted reserve, which was a program designed to keep people in college as long as they were doing well. When I went back for the second semester without telling my parents anything, I didn't sign up and take any classes, so I was ordered to active duty. I then went in the Army and went to Miami for basic training. And then I was assigned to the Army Air Corps and sent to Denver, Colorado, to Bomb Sight and Automatic Pilot Maintenance School. And I was there in school about 6 months. From there, they sent me to Big Spring, Texas, where they were training bombardiers. And I was there for a while, and then I was transferred to Florida, where they were training B-7s before going overseas, and worked there for a while. And then I ended up in Gulfport, Mississippi, working on B-29s. And from my laboratory as a automatic pilot technician, I was detailed to flight test, and I, along with other crew members, took the B-29s out of depot maintenance, and we had to fly them and certify that everything was okay before they were turned over to crews. I had one experience while I was doing that. I always thought it would be fun to jump out of an airplane with a parachute. One day we had a B-29 with the bomb bay doors that wouldn't close and latch. So the pilot said, "Paul, go back in the bomb bay and get the emergency button, see if we can get the doors closed." With a parachute on my back, the bomb bay doors open, and I'm on a catwalk going around to get to the front of the bomb bay, and the wind is rushing up through my you-know-what, and I'm looking down. I don't want to jump out of this airplane. Well, we got landed, and we were okay. So then the war ended. I was discharged from the Army. I used the GI Bill to partially fund my education. That's when I went to George Washington University. By then I was married. And while I was a chemistry major, I did very well. But I changed my mind and decided I wanted to go to medical school. Went to George Washington University Medical School. Graduated in 1952. Then a couple of children, no money, so I went back in the Army. I served my internship at Brooke Army Hospital in San Antonio. I went to Tripler Army Hospital in Honolulu. Terrible place. No, I'm kidding. And I had general surgery training there, and then I had thoracic surgery training at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver, Colorado. And then I went to Vietnam. Took a thoracic surgery team, a detachment that was attached to the 8th Field Hospital, the first military field hospital to go into Vietnam. And then when I left there, I came back and served at Valley Forge Army Hospital till I retired. Well, my Army retirement was sufficient to allow me to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. I didn't have to go into private practice to make money. And so I ended up in academic medicine. And I finished out here at the University of Illinois College of Medicine here in Chicago and retired. So that's the story of my life, pretty much. And it's been a good life. And it's still good. World War II, there was no question about our being involved. That was necessary. Korea, I had some reservations about whether we should have gotten ourselves involved in the Korean War. And Vietnam, even after having been there for a year, I'm absolutely certain that was the wrong thing for us to do. We had no business being there, from my point of view. And fortunately for what I did, we got some casualties back from Vietnam at Valley Forge Army Hospital within 2 weeks of injury. That was super. That was fantastic. But yeah, we took care of our people, but maybe they shouldn't have been exposed. I don't know. That's just an opinion. My oldest son was a National Merit Scholar in Phoenixville High School. He left Phoenixville High School to come to the University of Chicago after his junior year as a National Merit Scholar. He was here in Chicago, and believe it or not, he was among a group of demonstrators against the Vietnam War. I'm still on active duty in the service. The people who were identified, they sat in the president's office, and the people who were identified were going to be disciplined by having to stay out of school the fall semester of the coming year. My son had enough credit to go to summer school and get his bachelor's degree. So he didn't get disciplined. He went to Northwestern as a graduate student, got everything done except research and a thesis for a PhD when he decided he was tired of education. The only thing a PhD would do for him would be allow him to teach, and he didn't want to teach. And he and his then girlfriend picked up from Chicago and went to San Francisco. Lived on the streets. Hippies. She got pregnant, and then he decided, well, maybe I ought to make a living, which he did very well the rest of his life. He was a mathematics major. He went into the computer industry. The middle boy, John, came to me one day. He was in college, and he was turned on in sciences by a professor, and he came, Dad, what is it that's so difficult about getting into medical school? I didn't discourage or encourage him. We talked about it. Well, he ended up as a PhD entomologist. He didn't go to medical school, but he had a great career, and he spent some time in Africa taking care of bugs there and doing pretty nice things around the world. So he did good. Well, the youngest boy did go to Penn State, and when he was in police activities, graduated, he went into service, and he was assigned to Korea. He went for a year to Korea, and he came back to Pennsylvania, was working in the prison system, counseling inmates and so on. He didn't like it very much. He's single, and he was a caddy in a golf course in the Philadelphia area, and the fellow that was a caddy master in the wintertime would go to Florida. Well, he persuaded my son Robert to go. He quit his job and he went to Florida with this fellow, and then he got a professional ticket himself and became a golf professional on a club in Palm Beach. The thing that our generations of today do not know is the cost in human life that gives them the freedom to do the things that they are doing today. And that includes the students who are jumping up and down and demonstrating. They're free to do that because somebody paid the price for them to have that freedom. for them to consider serving in the service, I would say that would be a great thing to do. You'll learn a lot about humans, and you'll learn a lot about how you live a life that's worthwhile. And for that, it's remarkable. And I would tell them to seriously think about it. It is good for our country. We need it. And our country is good for them because they're free.